Hey folks, how you doing? What's up? What's up? What's up? This is Shamar and T-Bass and the T-Bass and Shamar show.
Me already.
This is Shamar and T-Bass and T-Bass and Shamar show. How's everybody doing? Today we're kind of just freelancing it. We got a couple of topics to go over, some football, some basketball, maybe a few other things, but here we are. Well, let's get to it.
Yeah, man. We just wanted to have an informal chat.
Mm-hmm.
We've been covering a lot of content and good subject matter, but this is one of those kind of what the motivation for this whole thing was. Just one of those informal kind of things where me and Mike just chop it up on some topics. And you know what? I'm gonna kick it right off. Stephen A. Smith gave us a topic. This was not something we were thinking about talking about, but then as I was driving in this morning, they were talking about this beef going on between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Because, supposedly, Stephen A. Smith got confronted by LeBron James about, Bronny James and talking about his family or whatever. Right. And so now this thing is kind of, taken off. And, Stephen A. Smith is basically kind of come back, holding his ground, talking about, I'm not going to capitulate to LeBron James, yada, yada, yada. But you kind of started this thing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
I don't know. I kind of have a balanced approach to that one.
Yeah.
I can agree with both sides. I agree with LeBron's side in terms of,
100.
You're talking, but I agree with Stephen A. mostly. Like, dude, this is partly your fault, LeBron. You're the one who came before Bronny got into basketball. Right. You said he was better than half the basketball league.
No, I don't think LeBron ever said that.
Yes, he did. He did.
He actually
he
said
literally
that.
sent out a tweet
that's crazy.
and said that Bronny is better than half the league now.
Come on,
and so when you did that,
right,
you put a bullseye on your son's head. That's your fault. That's not Bronny's fault.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with the criticism of Bronny, but when you try to when you're sensationalizing my life, you're bettering your career off of sensationalizing my life. I do have a problem with that, and to me, that's what Stephen A. Smith is doing. And I'm sure LeBron James feel the same way. He's like, look, bro, I'm sure LeBron is mature enough and evolved enough to know that, because this is not an unpopular conversation about his son that people are having, right? Most of us are having this conversation about Bronny. But when you start telling me, hey, dude, as a father, when you start questioning what I'm doing as a father with my child about, I'm like, bro, you kind of out of bounds with that, dude.
I would agree to that if LeBron didn't put his business out there. So you put your business out there.
Right.
You're the one who have these TV shows showing Bronny and yourself and your other son.
Right.
You're the one who basically puts all this information out. The job of the media is to be the media.
Agreed.
And to show.
Yes, the job of the media is to be the media, but the job of the media is not to step into your personal home and tell you're doing a terrible job with your son. And you're doing a disservice to your son by basically hooking up and trying to move him along in life. I do.
I think that it's a disservice, or if he was telling him, like, look, man, you don't raise your children right, that would be different.
Right.
That ain't what he did.
But he did. Though.
No, he said no, LeBron. And I watched it.
Okay.
He said, no, LeBron, I'm speaking directly to you.
Okay.
I am not speaking to Bronny. I know Bronny is a rookie. I know he doesn't have all these skills. He has time. He's young.
100%.
I am speaking directly to you. As a father, or even as an athlete, if you're going to put your business out there for us in the media to grab, then you also have to leave room for us to criticize.
Did you hear? No. But I don't think the criticism is the issue. I don't think the criticism is the issue. I think it's how the criticism is put down. And because we've all been critical about this move, right? We all have said, LeBron, nah, bro, you kind of should let your kid get it by himself, get it on his own. Everybody's in agreement with that. But when you go on and you says, as a father, you need to stop doing it. Just stop doing it. and you getting all dramatic, dude. And it's like, wait a minute,
agree. I can agree to that.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I'm calling out on Stephen. Listen. That's the only issue I have with what Stephen A. Smith is doing. It's like, bro, you're propping up your career off of my family, and that's not right, dude. Because the reality of it is that LeBron, like, I don't think LeBron James has done anything wrong.
No,
he's trying to advance his son in life, right? And that's a positive.
And so I get him saying as a father,
right?
It's like advice, because firstly, Stephen A. is a lot older than LeBron.
And does Stephen A. even have children?
I believe he does.
Okay, I don't know.
I want to say he has a daughter or something like that.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure, but I believe he does.
Yeah.
So now, when he gives advice as a father coming from a father,
right?
I don't see that it's up to you to take that criticism,
right,
and to compartmentalize and say, okay, well, where is he coming from?
Right.
I think LeBron is just sick and tired of it. And whatever Stephen A's response was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then there's also this part, and this is where Stephen A has to be careful.
Yeah.
I think with LeBron, it's not so much as just you criticizing my son.
Right.
It's your history.
Well, okay.
So,
and I don't know anything about history.
So, when I say your history, I mean, you've criticized other athletes, and to LeBron, your criticisms may not necessarily be all the way correct. Because I play with some of these athletes. I've seen some of these athletes. I know them personally.
Right.
So some of your criticisms aren't all the way accurate. They're based upon what you either heard or don't understand.
Right. So I'm riding into work this morning. I already knew about how, everybody talked about it, supposedly how LeBron confronted Stephen A. Smith. And then Stephen A. Smith comes back and basically he's basically saying that shit was weak. That shit was weak what you did. But now hold up. So then on the show, these are other media guys, and he's like, I wouldn't say that was weak. No. He's just like, no, that shit wasn't weak. He actually came to you and he talked to you man to man, which is actually strong because he could have actually went through the media or sent somebody to talk to you or this and that. And so even other media, significant media people are saying, hold up, wait a minute, Stephen A. Hold up, bro. You got on there, you started having your criticism, but then you got personal with it. You start talking about him as a father.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to not get personal because LeBron.
But they gave examples of how he could have not gotten personal.
It's kind of hard to not get personal because LeBron said this.
Okay.
A day or two later.
What did he say?
And I was like, yeah, I would have got personal.
Okay.
So he says, yeah, I did confront Stephen A. Smith. And I told him that if you wanted to meet me out on the court and have it out right now, we can go toe to toe right now.
Oh, the court. Right.
He
didn't say in the parking lots.
He said right now.
Right.
Like immediately, like if you have something to say, you think that this is something like me and you can have at it right now. Right. We can go toe to toe, blow for blow.
Which really, this conversation ain't about him and LeBron. This conversation is really about his son.
And so LeBron then took it to the physical.
Right.
Like if you want mitts put on you, then we can handle this right now. I'll put the mitts on you. And he's like, and of course, Unc backed down because he says, I am, because then he goes, I am him.
Right.
Like, hold up, LeBron. That's weak. Yeah. Dude, you all are 6'10".
Right.
Stephen A is close to 60 years old, probably is 60. Like, what are you walking up on this dude talking about you want to whoop his, that is weak.
And the conversation doesn't revolve around your ability, LeBron. This conversation is revolved around kind of how you handled this Bronny James situation.
Exactly. This has nothing to do with basketball skills. This has nothing to do with your son actually being good or not being good. It has everything to do with the way you've hyped up your son.
Right.
So now guess what? When he goes out to a D-League game, cats is on his head even more.
But listen, here's the thing. Like I said, I don't think that's what's ticking LeBron off. I honestly don't.
I don't either.
Because everybody knows it.
I think it's more to it.
Because everybody knows this. And this is the like the shit that Stephen A. Smith said is the popular opinion, bro. I think that when he starts stepping on LeBron's toes is when you start questioning what he's doing as a father,
and that's kind of asinine.
And you're chastising him. You're chastising him as a father.
And for what? He's a great father.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
He's a good father.
So to LeBron's defense, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, bro. Time out here. Time out. What are we talking about here?
And we've all we've all seen him operate in terms of his children since his children were born. It's right. They televise it, they publicize it. We know that LeBron's a good father. We know that he's a good husband. So to question that, I would have been mad too.
Here's my thing. I don't agree with what LeBron did. I don't agree with it.
No, I don't either.
But
then I do.
No, I mean, but I understand it. I understand it, right? You're a father, and you're helping advance your kid in life. Every father and mother is trying to do that. I don't agree with it necessarily because, yeah, bro, there's also somebody who's not eating out there who's worked their whole life to get here and probably is more talented than your son, who deserves to be there, right? So from that perspective, like I said, I didn't agree, but I will say this: you did what you did, but I'm definitely not going to be like, "Oh, you just a bad daddy."
Yeah,
come on, man.
To question his fatherhood is silly.
Right.
However, there's so many different layers to it. There's no real right and wrong. What there is certain aspects of the way he approached it, I disagree with. In certain aspects, I agree with. Like the way LeVar Ball did it, he blew his sons up. That's what LeBron's doing. I'm blowing my son up. I'm trying to get my son out there. To some degree, though, it's like, well, in the same token, and this is where I disagree with people.
Okay.
Bronny deserved to get where he got, even without LeBron.
Right.
Bronny he's actually got talent.
Right.
And he done been to a couple of games. He was 430 and something.
And that's what they're saying. So that's why their question is, it's like, bro, wait a minute. Right now, you kind of propping up your career a little bit, sensationalizing this shit. Because
Stephen A.
Because basically, Bronny is doing exactly what a 55th pick in the NBA draft does, right?
How many 55th picks do much?
Like he's the 23rd. He's getting the 23rd most minutes on the court. So and all this other stuff. But but here it is. You coming up with this dramatic ass. Stop it, LeBron. Just stop it. As a father, stop it. Okay, bro. Now I got a problem, bro. Because now you're
questioning his fatherhood. That to me is kind of questionable. But then, in the same token, as LeBron James, when you overhype your son,
right,
you got to expect the backlash from that because he overhyped him.
And that's Stephen A. Smith's style, right? Like we understand that his style is over the top. So it would make sense that in this moment he would go over the top with it, right? But so that's the only place I took exception.
Honestly, and this is I'm not speaking. I don't know this for sure, and I don't have any proof of it. But LeBron James has been sitting back for years while Stephen A. make all these comments.
Right.
Not necessarily about him, but I'll use Kyrie Irving as an example.
Right.
And
he's very opinionated.
For the most part, when he was destroying Kyrie Irving,
right,
you're assassinating his character,
right,
because you're not really looking directly into his life and what he's doing and what he's going through.
Right.
You're just sitting here saying he needs to play basketball. If he don't play basketball, he ain't crap. He ain't a great leader. He ain't this and that.
Right.
And granted, he needed to grow up and mature and become a better leader. But the way that you jumped at him, and somebody like a LeBron who knows Kyrie, who's been around Kyrie,
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Right. And so
when you start talking about his son,
here's the danger in that. Here's the danger in the example that you gave, right? So me and the wifey are sitting on the couch the other night. We're watching the game, and Kyrie Irving's playing, and now she's formed these opinions about Kyrie Irving based on the media. And I said, but hold on, wait a minute. I was like, I told her, I said, actually, I think you got Kyrie kind of misconstrued. Like, I think this brother's head is on the right track. And do you really realize like his involvement and like who he is? Right. And I was like, no, I've actually looked at the clips and heard Kyrie Irving talking. Mm-hmm. And so what you've done is you've let the media form an opinion for you about who this guy is, but you really don't know who this guy is.
And who had a large portion to play in that? Freaking Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
You sat there and you assassinated this brother's character.
Right.
And then you basically coerced other TV announcers to do the same thing. And you started putting out information that was partly true.
Right.
But then some of it you're like, well, whoa.
And as a young...
I've heard Kyrie speak.
Right.
And this dude is speaking about light and consciousness.
Right.
He's over here speaking about how he was soul searching, how he was looking for his mom. He's into
people.
the Native American Indian culture. He's into the black culture. He's out on the line fighting when we needed people to help fight. For George, was it Floyd?
Right. On the woke stuff.
So you out there on the front line saying, no, police, and here it is, Stephen A., you're assassinating his character while he's out protesting.
Right. Basically trying to, turn this guy into a flat earther, right. and discrediting his positions on stuff. And now we may not agree with all the positions that Kyrie Irving, and I had to check it. I was like, well, hold on, let me hear what Kyrie Irving is talking about first of all before I mess around and form an opinion or believe what these people are saying. I'm like, oh, hold up, I'm on the Kyrie Irving team.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you actually are talking about some real stuff.
This dude is over here talking about getting in touch with your own self,
right?
Meditating and eating correctly and doing these types of things. And so when you get people that criticize that, I'll be like, I don't know, did you actually listen to Kyrie or are you listening to what the media said about Kyrie?
Right.
And then so as somebody like LeBron,
right.
And you didn't really say much because you didn't want to.
Right. He took the right position.
This is none of my business.
Right.
But in your mind, you have to be thinking like, dude, you are assassinating this dude's character.
Right.
And all of that buildup. Right. And there's no telling how many other players or people that Stephen A. has had comments on that he just sat back and let. And then finally you talk about my son. Oh, hell no, I'm going to say something about this.
And honestly speaking, I don't think it was the criticism. I think it was when it gets personal, that's when you do have to step up and say, hold up, wait a minute, bro. We're getting a little personal here, and granted, their business is out in the street, and it is. But when you start getting personal on a level that is kind of out of bounds, like, wait, man, you need to check yourself right here. Like, I don't mind you having a problem with talking about my son with the fact checking and this and that. I think LeBron knows all of that. But when you start questioning me about advancing my son, like, what the hell are you doing?
I can see that because I would take exception to that. Like, wait a minute, bro. How are you going to tell me about how I'm going to advance my son? Yeah, maybe I did. If I did overhype him, it was for his benefit.
Right.
Look where he is now.
Right.
Look where he is now. And so that's overhype. He's on the Lakers now, is he?
And so that's what the other commentators, they were saying, hey, look, man, I could see if LeBron James was steering his son down a wrong path, but he's like, no, he's steering him toward he's doing exactly what a father should.
Right.
So come on, man. Like, come on, man.
Lay off of him.
Come on, man.
Lay off of him a little bit.
You out of bounds, bro. You out of bounds.
I think right now where it is that Stephen A.'s feelings and got involved because LeBron has taken it there. Like,
okay, so I'm gonna go.
Like, ultimately, like, if you don't like what I said, then what you gonna do?
Well, and that's what. And Stephen A. had to back it up, right? Like, so then Stephen A. escalated and said, "I ain't gotta bite my tongue or capitulate."
Right.
And I get that part, but then again, yes, Stephen A.
You probably
no. Wait a minute. No, you just got that $100 million contract, so maybe you is talking too much. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe you is talking too much.
Maybe you do need to take a step back sometimes and just let the athlete have it.
Right, because you got your.
You know what? You said you turn around the day after and you said I wasn't speaking to LeBron James, the player.
Right.
I was speaking to LeBron James, the father. And with that, I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand the difference between the player and the father, the daddy. Yeah. And I agree with that. But Stephen A., man, sometimes you need to just,
because from my perspective, this is how I analyze it as a fan, just on the outside looking in. You just got a big paycheck, huh? Now you got LeBron family all in your mouth. You just running your mouth. You earning that money, ain't you? You earning that money. So I'm just saying, no, real. And I'm talking to you, brother, directly. Like, maybe you do. Like, I'm like, you need to look at where you at and what's going on in your life, and because timing is everything, man. So
Yeah, well, we'll see how that turns out. I kind of hope
it's good
because I know Stephen A. said that their relationship hadn't really been all that great in the past few years anyway. So my hope is that the brothers kind of iron it out because, in truth, the community lost in that you have two people who are very influential, two figures who are influential, and then you have these words, and it's good that one person is defending his side and the other person is saying, but what we lose is that now you guys are going toward words, and we don't, as a community, we would like to see you guys at least patch it up at some point.
But that's the issue with television anyway, is that, especially in today's world, is bad content is good content.
And you know what I mean? I get it. But in this case, I wish the two parties would say, you know what, because you guys are both on TV podcasts. Your words are actually, people look at your words and people take your words and move on them.
Right.
So it's good. It would be good that they kind of get each other, feel each other out, hear what each other has to say, and then agree to disagree, or you know what, maybe I overstep. I would like to see brothers kind of like hash that out, because this isn't something that you guys should not be bitter enemies over this.
Right.
I would understand Kyrie being more in terms of a bitter enemy to Stephen A. than LeBron.
Right. Well, you know what? I think that.
I think
that my message actually to people like Stephen A. and the media is that, you know, you're in a powerful situation. So just, know that, and, you may be, like you said, you may be overstepping your boundaries sometimes. And I think they just do it, man. It may not even be intentional. It's just part of it is probably the training, push, keep pushing, try to get the information out, to try to create a new topic. But in the process, you didn't throw people under the bus.
And they have a tendency to do that in the media, and that's kind of terrible.
So
So let's jump to a subject real quick. How do you feel your Raiders are doing?
Okay, so the Raiders.
How do you like Geno Smith?
Geno Smith, we'll see. Everybody saying it's a step up. Maybe, I think we got a quarterback. I mean, him and Pete Carroll have a relationship, so Pete Carroll knows. So we've upgraded coaches, we've upgraded quarterback. We'll see what we do with the sixth pick, what direction they're gonna go in. I think the Raiders are trying to get better.
I think so. I think Pete Carroll can possibly change the culture.
Right, and that's the key.
He can bring a new culture of how they approach going into games,
right?
How they approach preparing for games,
right?
And Geno, being in his system, can echo his words without. Right. So you go from coach to quarterback, and the quarterback is ultimately echoing the words of the coach. And he's thrown for 4,000 yards for the last 3 seasons. Right. I think Geno is decent for the next couple of years. He's just old.
It's a lot of talent. The Raiders have brought a lot of talent into the building, right? So you got Tom Brady in the building. You got Pete Carroll in the building now. As we know, and as you know, it takes a lot to create a successful football team. It's not just the figurehead sometimes. Like, you could put Geno Smith back there, but if you ain't working on your offensive line, dude, then it ain't gonna really matter. So are you guys, you lock down Max Crosby, and so you're making the right move, but you gotta put the whole thing together to make that thing an actual competitive team in the NFL today. So, like I said, from the outside looking in, I think you guys are trying. We'll see what they do with this 6th pick, bro. Like, this 6th pick will tell us, this number 6 pick will tell us.
I think they should still go for quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately.
Because if you go for quarterback now, whatever young quarterback you get could learn under Geno Smith for the next couple of years.
Right, he can study.
And I think Geno Smith is a perfect veteran to teach a young player, because he did come in as a first-round pick and did fall out of favor and then earned his way back. So he's a perfect guy to say, hey, look, youngster, sometimes it don't work out for you. Sometimes you got to work harder. Sometimes you got to do this. And I think a lot of these young cats these days, they be needing that.
No, they need mentorship.
They need mentorship because some of these kids is coming in not necessarily with their head screwed on straight.
So I was listening to a guy talk about it, an expert, and he was saying, well, what the Geno Smith pickup does is it does take some of the urgency off of the Raiders having to take a quarterback with their 6th pick. Because you got 2 or 3 years with this guy, and then he said maybe you do go get that back that you want. Maybe you do go get Genty. You go get your future back, or whatever. So I kind of liked his perspective on it. I was like, no, I feel you, because the Raiders, because this has been a conversation for the Raiders for the last 2 years. You must. So I think that what he was saying was that picking up Geno Smith gives them some flexibility in their decision
to not have to get a quarterback.
Right. To not.
I'll tell you this. Genty, that dude can run.
Right.
And honestly, that would fit the Raiders perfect.
Right.
Like, firstly, you needed a quarterback. You do need a running back.
Right.
And you needed a coach.
Right.
And you needed a coach that can coach in that division.
Right. And you need a high
rookie coach in that division wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah. You need a high profile quarterback. I mean, not quarterback,
coach.
But coach.
I mean, I think Pierce has a shot at being a good coach someday.
Yeah.
But right now, in that division, with those coaches on the other side,
right.
He wasn't the man.
The passion ain't enough to get you over.
No,
it's not.
And you, at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to have someone who is not intimidated by those other coaches. Right. And I'm not saying Pierce was intimidated or outclassed.
Right.
And Pierce can get outclassed by coaches who have been to the Super Bowl.
Right. He was outclassed.
And so now
you're not in the class of some of those coaches.
And now you get Pete Carroll. No, I've been to a couple of Super Bowls.
Right.
And
I won away.
And my teams have beaten some of your teams.
Right.
Like Philadelphia was getting owned by Seattle.
I mean, that's when they was on top. I mean, they was owning a whole lot of people.
Even when Seattle's been down, they've been owning Philly.
Okay.
They've been killing Philly. Now, the last game or Philly's obviously this last year was one. But prior to that, Seattle had beat Philly like 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 9 times, like something like that. They've been killing them.
Well, we know. Yeah, Pete Carroll's his resume is dope. I mean, he comes from SC. That was a powerhouse. He goes to Seattle. He turns them into a powerhouse. The last couple of years he's been struggling and this and that, but that's because, I think a lot of that stuff is personnel issues too.
How many wins y'all have? Like 3?
We had 4, maybe.
4,
maybe. 4?
I think Pete Carroll doubles the wins.
Right.
I think
get you to a
go from 4 to about 8 or 9.
Right.
And then you start to show promise.
Right.
And then from there, the culture change starts to shift.
And that's never good.
And I think Vegas, that's all they need.
That's never good enough for me. I'm just saying. No. So what my magic number is?
10.
My magic number is 10, bro.
If they get to 10,
get me 10. That's my magic number. I take you serious when you, like you said, when you get to 8 or 9, you building, you trying, you getting there. Now, when you get to 10, 11, okay, now you're a competitor. Now you're a contender. And I want my team to be a contender. But I hear what you're saying. It takes time. You can't just go from 3 to 11.
Right.
But sometimes you can.
And it's
the Washington Commanders, right? Like sometimes you can.
They got a good quarterback.
Right.
Got some players around them.
Raiders, I want like 10 wins is my minimum, man. To me, if you win, and I know that's a high expectation, but if you win in less than 10, I'm like, 10 means you're getting into that elite kind of conversation. That's what I'm looking for. Coach Bass is looking for that. That's just it.
And then we got my boys, Philadelphia. Yeah. They lost 5 starters on defense.
Yeah.
It's only day 3 in free agency. I would like to see them make some moves, but money is funny.
Right.
You can only sign who you can sign.
You guys are kind of you guys are a little notoriously stingy with the purse strings. That's your approach. That's the business model.
I wouldn't say that.
But I think that
Philadelphia is actually one of the more paying teams.
Yeah.
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 They pay their players. That's why players want to go to Philly.
Do they reward their players, or do they?
They just rewarded Barkley.
Right. No, they do. No, they do. And I think, and people, people were commenting on that's. No. Actually, I think that is the norm with Philly.
Yeah.
But going in, but you got to work for that paycheck.
Now they're notoriously stingy with linebackers, which they just pay Zach Barr, which they normally don't. However, when it comes to paying, what Philadelphia has been doing is paying players before the market resets.
Okay.
So you say Jalen Hurts. If I don't sign him this year, 2023, 2024, all these other quarterbacks become free agents.
Right.
And then they're going to be getting $50, $60 million. Before that even happens, I'm going to offer Jalen Hurts $30 million a year for XYZ amount of time. So that way next year comes, those other guys are getting 40, 50 million, but my guy's been locked in at 30.
That's smart business.
And then we'll extend him when it's time.
That's smart business.
And what Philly's good at is actually going through the extension process.
Okay.
Well,
no, that's it.
And that's where, like AJ Brown, he was like, man, it seems like the money don't ever end here. Well, that's because Philly pays their players.
Right.
They don't do like other teams and
shell out dough.
Oh man,
because we're loose with the now my criticism of the Raiders would be, in the past, I think the Raiders culture is changing though, because they're bringing more business minds into the building. I think we were loose with the purse strings. Like, we just rewarding dudes, and then you. I mean, look at, dude, how many coaches are we still writing checks for, and all this other stuff. So, I mean, your organization, has a philosophy.
I heard the funniest. Somebody said something on ESPN. He's talking about Myles Garrett, when Myles Garrett had asked for to be traded,
right?
And he was like, "Man, if I was Myles Garrett, this is my word. This is what I'd be saying to the owner." And I started busting up. He said, "I'd be looking at the owner and being like, I've been here for XYZ amount of years. Right. We haven't had a winning team. Right. I'm tired of losing. Yes. It'd be nice for you to let me go. We've had 16 quarterbacks in 13 in X amount of time that I've been here. Right. You've pursued more quarterbacks than I have." I was like, right. I was like, damn.
Pursue more quarterbacks.
Like, you guys pursue quarterbacks stronger than I pursue them.
And then he he had to play hardball with him to get his paper.
He just wanted money, man.
Like he had to play hardball too, but then they ultimately backed down. I mean, but that's what players have to do, though. You do have to play the game, unfortunately, with these organizations, because they're not going to just volunteer the paper to you. And so that was some of the conversation. Well, how do Browns fans feel? Myles Garrett basically dumping them, and some people said, man, they should have just let his ass walk. And then other people were like, well, that's part of how this game is played.
I would have traded him.
Yeah,
because you guys are sometimes good.
Right.
I think they need to get better in other areas.
Right.
You're never going to, not never. There's this year's defensive line class coming draft is deep.
Right.
So you could have parlayed him for some good picks. Maybe got more D ends and D tackles.
I got you.
And let him go because you're spending $40 million a year now on him.
Right.
So now it's time to sign these other players. You're gonna be locked in. You're gonna have this guy has a lot of the chunk of the money.
Right.
And this is one thing I hate when a player does, and then for me it puts an asterisk next to you.
Right.
When you talk about you want to win ships, I don't want to be here no more. It's not about the money. I just want to win a ship. I just want to be on a team that's a contender.
That's real.
Here, hey, we'll pay you $40 million. Ready.
Right.
What happened to the I didn't care about the money. What happened to the I want to win ships?
Right.
All of a sudden they offer you the money and it feels good.
But remember, we had this conversation. And we had this conversation about money and winning. And I was like, there is no amount of money that can make me content with being a loser, right? And then you was kind of like, I don't know.
I'm still like that. Like, early in your career, you're chasing that. Well, depends. So early in your career, you get the rookie contract.
Yeah.
You're just trying to stay on the team and get to a point where you can make that money, that big money.
Right.
If you've already gone through 6-7 years and you've made a ton of money. Say you've been the man.
Right.
You've made you have a 3-year, $100 million contract, and then now you're extending to another 3-year, $100 million. At that point, it's like, for me, I'm not chasing the money. I'd rather chase the win. But earlier, before that, I want to win, but I want that money as well.
I know, I got you.
No,
I got you.
Like if I haven't made that money yet, I want that money.
But he has made that.
But if you have made that money, then you should be chasing wins.
But then again,
But then it's hard to.
But then it's hard to. It's
hard to turn down 300 mil.
Right.
300 mil.
Right. What are you doing? Because at the end of the day, the conversation becomes, what is this about? Is this about winning, or is this about getting paid? And
it was about getting paid. It wasn't about winning, because
no. For him, no. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And, like, everybody has an approach to this thing. Like somebody like Tom Brady, and Tom Brady proved it. Tom Brady left a gang of money on the table to win.
I'll tell you this, and this is me. I'm not going to turn down money.
Right.
I will turn down more money.
Right.
So now, if I'm Garrett, I'm like, 300 mil? If another team offers me 200 mil, like on some $30 million a year for XYZ, but they're a winner, I'd take the 200 mil over the 300 mil with a winner. 200 mil is 200 mil.
Well, maybe, but see, for him, we already got the answer to that question.
Obviously, he cared about the money more.
He cared about the money more, because you know that somebody put that 200 million on the table.
But that's why I said, if it were me.
Right.
So if you're saying, okay, well, you can take 300 mil and be with this loser, or you can take 300 mil and be with this loser, or you could take 200 mil and be with this bona fide contender.
Which way are you going?
I'm going 200 mil. It's $200 million. It's $200 million.
I'm going the same way.
Like, what the hell? Like, $200 million? How am I losing in this situation?
No. And
I'm winning.
And it's like, that's just my competitive nature. I'm like, nah, bro, I'd rather win and have less money than lose all the time and have a gang of money.
Right.
No.
I'm not a loser.
No way.
I'm not a loser, and I don't even want to be known that way. Now, if I'm a 100,000-aire, meaning that I've only had a contract of $2 million for 2 years, and you break that $2 million down into taxes, and all I really got out of it was a few $100,000, and you come offering me $20 million, I'm taking the $20 million.
Okay.
I don't care if I am losing.
And you'll play for the
inferior. I'll pay for the inferior. I don't care if I am losing. Because in this case, the money makes sense. Why am I going to put myself in a position where, as soon as I'm done with football, I got to go to work?
Right.
When I can put myself in a position when I'm done with football, I'm done with work. I can kind of just do what I need to do.
Or do whatever you want to do.
Or do whatever I want to do. And to me, it just depends on where a person is in their money.
Well, you know what too? On the Gary tip, talking about that, I was like, yeah, he did increase his pay, and he did it in Cleveland too. So that money also means that that 40 million is different in Cleveland than it is in California. So that's another thing about it too, But yeah, so this is what me and Mike do. We chop it up on stuff like this, you know what I mean?
It's almost that time, everybody. We about to bounce up out of here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So what's the motto?
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
See you next time.